Good morning, welcome back to my F1 diary. Let's talk about the Japanese Grand Prix. This didn't really feel like a race week for me. I don't know why. Well, I actually do know why. I didn't watch FP1 or FP3 because it was in the middle of the night for me. But I also felt under the weather for the whole weekend. Still am, so sorry if this video is a little less energetic than usual. Okay, what happened before the race? We have the McLaren livery, which I love. We have the poster for VCARB. Amazing, great. We have Max's haircut. I know it's a weird thing to comment about. I just wanna... Men have this thing where the minute their hair is just the perfect length and it looks so good, they decide to cut it off. I don't know why. Charles also did it. Carlos also did it. Lando, Daniel, and like a lot of men that I know in real life do this. I don't know why, but please stop doing this, okay? You look so much better with longer hair. So stop this. I don't know what's your urge to cut your hair off, but don't. It was Oscar's birthday. I don't know when you're seeing this, but on Saturday, on Quali Day, it was Oscar's birthday. Happy birthday, Oscar. Lily was there. So cute. I love them as a couple. They're so cute. I love that they're like not secret, but they're private. I love that they're also like been with each other since high school. That's very sweet. And also Lily seems really chill and cool and smart. She's getting a degree and yeah, they're really, really cute together. What else? Okay, so I don't know if I'm gonna put this in, but remember last time when we talked about how F1 Sky Sport, or I'm sorry, Sky Sport F1 has like crazy statistics. So I have a statistic for myself here, which is the frog voice statistic. Out of 20 drivers, we have 5 drivers. That's fourth of the grid with frog voices. If you don't know what a frog voice is, it sounds like they have a lump in their throat like the whole time, like they're talking like this. I don't know what that says. I don't know what that means, but it's Carlos, Lando, George, Lance, and Daniel. And yeah, just a crazy statistic that I found to be, I don't know, maybe interesting. Because like in real life, I don't know anyone with a frog voice. Maybe it makes you a good driver. Maybe it makes you more aerodynamic in some way. I don't know. What else? Oh, my predictions for this weekend. Okay, I got 5 out of 10. Okay, so my predictions were podium, Max Verstappen, Checo Perez, and Lando Norris. Fastest lap, Max Verstappen. First finisher, Q1, Yuki Tsunoda. First finisher, Q2, Nico Hülkenberg. First to retire, I said Logan Sargent, but it was actually Daniel Ricciardo. Classified finishers, I said 18. What? No, I could have sworn I put 17. I'm actually pissed off on myself. Like during the race, I was like, okay, good. We just need one more person to retire. And then Joe retired with like a gearbox issue. And I was like, great, I'm winning this category. But no, apparently I put on 18. So fuck me, I guess. Winning margin, I said 15 to 22. And I did predict there would be a safety car, but there wasn't. So 5 out of 10. Not too bad, honestly, but not that great. Williams chassis debacle continues. They decided to not switch the cars back. So the chassis that belonged to Logan, that Alex drove in Australia, he still drove it today. And Logan got the repaired chassis that Alex crashed in FP1 in Australia. Now, what do I think about this? I don't know. Because like on one hand, Williams, once again, they're like losing their nice guys supporting team persona, which isn't really what matters. But yeah, I felt really bad for Logan. But then, I mean, Logan crushed it in FP1 and then Alex crashed it in lap 1. Not that it was his fault, but still Logan had the better race. I actually was running really close to the points for most of it, but a long pit stop and his mistake in turn 8 and 9 put him last, so that's a shame. But yeah, I don't really know what to think about it anymore. They won't have a spare chassis for next week as well. The spare chassis will come in Miami, so we'll see what goes on. Until then, let's talk about the circuit a bit. Every week, like every race week, I go on the F1 23 game to like learn the track and like try to perfect it. And Suzuka's hard. Suzuka's very hard. The S's are very tricky to get right. And I did kind of understand what I need to do, but I'm still not consistent at it at all. The Logan crash in FP1, that's a crash that oh my god, that's a crash that I do often in the game. Everyone who's played the F1 game does that crash. So I don't know if it made me feel good for myself that real F1 drivers do this mistake, or made me feel iffy about Logan that he does this mistake that people do in the game. But whatever. That was an update on my gaming skills, which I'm sure you were all wondering about, so you're welcome. There were some special helmets, but most importantly, Charles Leclerc's helmet, which is a tribute to Jules Bianchi. And if you don't know, I'll try to tell this story without crying. I don't know if I could do this. Okay. Jules was an F1 driver between 2013 and 2014. He got into an accident in the Japanese Grand Prix in 2014. That left him severely injured with a severe head injury. He then was in the hospital for 9 months in a medically induced coma until he passed away in August of 2015. But he also was Charles Leclerc's godfather and mentor. He was a big part of his racing career, especially like in his karting days. But most importantly, he was a friend. And this year is the 10-year anniversary of his crash. So Charles had a special helmet that is basically a replica of Jules's helmet with the number 17, which was Jules's number that is retired by the FIA. And in his caption, when he revealed the helmet, he wrote that he will do everything to put it on the top step for Jules today. And he couldn't manage, so we'll get to that later. I do want to point out that Charles has a tribute for both Jules and his dad, who he lost in 2017 after a long fight with cancer. So he has that on every helmet he has, but this one specifically was for Jules for the anniversary. Jules's family was very thankful, of course. They communicated about it, and yeah, a piece of me kind of dies every time I remember him. So I think we often forget like how dangerous the sport is and how tragic it is when someone does get hurt or loses their life, and how young these people are. Jules was only 25 when he passed away. His dream was to drive for Ferrari. So Charles is basically like continuing his legacy. And if he was to get on the podium today, it would have been like, I don't know, very poetic to get Jules's helmet on the podium. Maybe not on the top step because, you know, Max Verstappen, but still, it would have been like really great. But again, as Charles says, it's like this. So continuing to quali, honestly, it was kind of disappointing and a bit frustrating. A lot of drivers didn't really understand where they can gain time, including Charles, but also Fernando and Lewis. McLaren didn't perform as well as like we thought they would. Although if we're comparing to last year, where at that point of the year they have already had their upgrades and they were at the top of their game, this year's qualifying time were like a second faster. So that's crazy. Goes to show how much McLaren has improved, but also goes to show how everybody else has improved, because if they're a second faster than they were last year and still struggled in qualifying and in the race, that means that everyone else also stepped up massively. Daniel again was out qualified by Yuki. Oh, it's so hard to be a Danny fan these days. And we'll get to the race in a second, but yeah, they kept cutting to Liam. Those editors, those motherfuckers know what they're doing. So yeah, it's hard being a Danny fan, but he wasn't like that far off, you know? Like they're really close in qualifying. Yeah, not a fun quali session. And also Max like was like, yeah, I could have done a better lap. What do you mean you could have done a better lap? Even in his like bad lap, quote unquote, he gained time. What the fuck is this man made of? What did Adrian Newbie put in this car? Because Checo was flying today as well. Although for most of the race, it was pretty close between like the Red Bulls and everyone else. Like Max and Checo didn't pull away quickly. It took them a while to like really build a gap. So maybe there is a little bit of hope. Maybe, perhaps. But yeah. So the race, Danny and Alex accident, not very fun. It wasn't Alex's fault, it was Danny's fault, but I mean, it also wasn't really Danny's fault. Alex was in his blind spot and he was looking to his left to see where Lance is. But yeah, it was like Danny's fault, but it was like a racing incident. Whoa, the lighting changed quite a bit. This video is not going to be consistent in terms of editing, I can see it already. With the lighting changing. Tire strategy was interesting. Like I didn't think the race would be like exciting, but it it was kind of exciting for most of it, actually. The tire strategy made it really interesting. I think the fact that I don't fully understand tire strategy, so I can like predict what they're going to do, makes it even more interesting for me. Also, they say that the undercut is powerful here around this track, and I still don't quite understand what makes a track have that characteristic. That. So if someone can explain that to me in the comments, that would be simply lovely. Like, I know what undercuts and overcuts are, I think. I understand them to an extent. But yeah, just explain this to me in the comments. We'll talk it out there. So as always, I write these notes like during the race, and I wrote, Charles is doing such a great job. And as I was writing this, he went wide in turn 9. Like, it wasn't like a major thing, like he didn't crash or anything, thank God. But like, why did I do that? Is it my fault? I digress. But no, he really did do an amazing job, and he does deserve that driver of the day. He did a one stop honestly perfectly. Like, he held on to those medium tires for a really long time. He really nursed them well. But yeah, he was up for a podium, no team orders, so Carlos was able to pass him on fresher tires, and that's a fucking shame, because once again, I said the significance of a podium here for Charles. I mean, that's pretty upsetting, if I'm being honest. So yeah, I'm upset for Charles. I'm upset for Oscar. Didn't qualify great. Didn't have a great race. The McLarens really struggled. Like, also for Lando, they really struggled today unexpectedly. And I'm not sure this tire strategy was doing them a favor. But Oscar, more than Lando, he had like the tight battle with Alonso and Russell. And then he made that mistake in the chicane and lost the position to Russell. So pretty disappointing. Also for Logan, as I said, he had a pretty good race again until the pit stop and his mistake. I am, however, very happy for Yuki. Yeah, not only did he score points in his home Grand Prix, he also is the first Japanese driver to do so, not yet, what's the word? Since Kamui Kobayashi in 2012. So that's great. Oh my God. But yeah, that's pretty much sums it up. I literally said for Charles, Oscar, Logan, Lando, happy for Yuki. So yeah, and also it's the 4th round, and all the races we had is like 1-2 for teams. Why am I not speaking correctly today? Every race this year has had a 1-2 for a team. So like Red Bull, Ferrari, Red Bull. And also Carlos finished on the podium for every race this year that he participated in. And if we're talking about podiums, the real podium today, if we're excluding Red Bull, as we should, I'm pretty sure it's the same as we had last time. Yep, it's the Australian podium. Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc, and Lando Norris. So congrats again for the same podium. Yeah, enjoy these memes. Bye!
And you were just struggling on tyres, you know. Charles was strong today.